Good day, good morning, and good evening. We are the Group 3 from R2A Dentistry, and we are going to discuss about universal values, the what, why, when, who, and how of it. Universal values like an air. It is something that can comment our life, whether it would sway in the positive side or in the negative side of it. And on another perspective, if we don't actually have one, but only have a set of beliefs that we believe in, depending on where our family and the set of people around us are flowing, then what is it that we are trying to preserve? What is humanity and ethics if we wouldn't want to know what universal values is? A world we are building, the next generation we are raising is something or someone that should be filled with universal values. A better place for them is the goal. In this report, it would discuss different branches of universal values and how it is something that should be an essential idea to a person.
What is universal value? Universal value are universal principles that apply to all people, regardless of their social, ethnic, or cultural backgrounds. When the value transcends laws and belief, it is deemed universal since it has the same meaning for all people and does not vary according to society. The existence and definition of universal value are conjectures that social sciences such as moral philosophy and cultural anthropology investigate. On the other hand, cultural relativism is a concept that denies the existence of universal values, claiming that a value cannot be universal because it is interpreted differently in each culture. To sum it up, universal values are universal ideals that apply to everyone, regardless of race, ethnicity, or culture. Cultural relativism, on the other hand, is a belief that universal values do not exist. It says that a value cannot be universal since each culture interprets it differently. What are the two universal values applied across the world? First, it could be that something has a universal value when everybody finds it valuable. For me, for a value to become universal, everybody must agree to the fact that its particular value is valuable to all, or there is a certain point in our life that is important to us. Second, something could have universal value when all people gave us reason to believe it has a value. Based on my understanding, universal value means that people believe it has a reason to believe it has a value.
Who will benefit from the universal value? All of us will benefit from the universal value because the function of the universal value is not to eliminate all such differences, but rather to help us to manage them with mutual respect and without resorting to mutual destruction. We already know that the universal value are universal principle that applies to all people. It helps us to grow as a person. It also helps us to make our own choices to determine the direction that our life takes us. Who are the philosophers that proposes universal value? There are a few philosophers that propose universal value. The first was Plato. He described the universal value as a value of temperance, courage, and wisdom. According to Plato, temperance was a fundamental concept of individual choices and responsibility. Then courage is a quality of being ready and willing to face negative situations involving danger or pain. Then lastly, wisdom. It means to be action guiding or being wise. The second is Confucius. He described the universal value as a teaching of righteousness, compassion, and filial piety. For Confucius, righteousness is a moral disposition to do good. And for compassion, it is for people to transform themselves into the most genuine and sincere humane person. And filial piety means the attitude of being obedience, devotion, and care towards the family. There are also universal values in our Bible. Jesus Christ described it as a preach on the importance of love, which gives rise to patience, kindness, benevolence, forgiveness, and companionship. Just like Jesus Christ said to his apostles, the importance of love and the value of love. For example, being patient, being kind, or being forgivable.
Why are universal values important? The function of universal values is not to eliminate all such differences, but rather to help us manage them with mutual respect and without resorting to mutual destruction. Our universal values require us to recognize the human characteristics, both good and bad, that we have in common with all our fellow human beings, and to show the same respect for human dignity and sensitivity in people of other communities that we expect them to show for ours. Why are universal values necessary for human survival? Values guide our behavior in all aspects of our life, including our home life, work life, and social life. Most times, the values or stories themselves hold a deep truth about how we as individual or as society should comfort ourselves in a given instances. The universal values are clearly evident that we need for us human beings to survive because it informs us our thoughts, actions, and words. Universal values are helping us to grow our everyday as a dignified person. It helps us also to develop our skills, talent, and human dignity. Universal values also helping us to create better future, and each one of us are entitled and well involved in making right decisions every day.
How do universal values affect a person's daily life? Universal values form the foundation of our lives. It dictates the choices we make and determine the direction that life takes. Values influence our decisions related to our relationships, careers, and other activities. They also influence our behavior because we use them to decide between alternatives. Furthermore, universal values are the compass in life that tell us what is right and wrong, and it serves as standards for what we would and would not be prepared to do. Knowing what universal values are can help us make decisions in life more efficiently, such as taking a job with good opportunities for variety, change, and spontaneity, or good opportunities for a career. The decisions that we make every day are a reflection of our values. Universal values directly influence our attitudes and behaviors. They are cornerstones of who we are and how we do things. They also help us grow and develop as a person. They form the basis of how we see ourselves as individuals, how we see others, and how we interpret the world in general. And that's how universal values affect our daily lives.
When can we say that value is universal? In a study led by Schwartz, he described values as concepts of the desirable that impact how people choose action and judge events. He hypothesized that universal values would connect three sorts of human needs. These are biological needs, social coordination, and needs relating to the welfare and survival of groupings. Based on his studies, there are 10 types of universal values. These are power, achievement, hedonism, stimulation, self-direction, universalism, benevolence, tradition, conformity, and security. These values are likely to be universal because they help humans cope with the three universal requirements of existence. A value is universal if it has the same value or worth for everyone or almost everyone. Morality, aesthetic preference, human qualities, human endeavor, and social order are all spheres of human value. Though it is clear that specific values such as primary attributes of physical attractiveness, like youthfulness or symmetry, are found in a great diversity of human cultures. Other characteristics like slenderness are subject to aesthetic relativism as governed by cultural norms. Whether universal values exist is an unproven conjecture of moral philosophy and cultural anthropology. This objection isn't just about looks.
To sum it all up, there are various reasons that universal values is an essential part of life and on why we should preserve it. Also, as we all know that these values can only be called universal values if it have the same word for everyone, or if everyone has the reason to believe that it has value regardless of anything. It had shown that universal values should be able to build up trust and cooperation among human beings. It isn't only about our own ethics, but should be about everyone. It is something that affects all the people that are surrounding a person. With this report, it would enlighten our people on who would be affected and who would benefit from such values in life. It also showed when and where universal values can be applicable and how it entailed a corresponding set of obligations and the reasons behind it. Universal values aren't only values made up of people for their own benefits. It is something within us that even though some people may influence us, it would still be something that only us could decide. And whether what our choices would be, it could either lead our life to a better future or a life full of misery and regrets as well as those who are around us. This is the sole reason on why we need to find within ourselves the will to live by the values we proclaim, not only in our private lives but also our local and national societies and in the world.